Kingdom Hearts VCast is full of interesting game design, but after being lost for 2 decades, many of the finer details have faded into obscurity. In this 3-part miniseries, I'm going to take you through some of the non-boss encounters that make Kingdom Hearts VCast shine. This is part 1, dedicated to our protagonist's dark alter ego, Shadow Sora. Shadow Sora is the first enemy we see other than a shadow, acting as the final encounter of the first full world, Swashbuckler's Island. In that sense, it is the boss of the world, but you'll soon see why it doesn't exactly fit in with other bosses. But first, we need to talk about what exactly Shadow Sora even is. The original Kingdom Hearts features 2 Dark Sora lookalikes: Anti-Sora, who wields the Keyblade and has yellow glowing eyes, and Shadow Sora, who dances around and has no features whatsoever. The creature from Kingdom Hearts VCast has a Keyblade and pale white eyes, which is closer to Anti-Sora from a visual standpoint. It goes unnamed in-game, only described as Sora's own shadow, and for that reason I dubbed the creature Sora's Shadow in my original VCast analysis video. Since then, I've discovered that the game files refer to it as Shadow Sora, which is as good excuse as any to switch to a more natural name. This version of Shadow Sora was conjured by Maleficent on top of the Heartless altar on Swashbuckler's Island. It's unclear whether or not that makes it a Heartless, especially since there are no emblems in this game, but I think it is implied by Maleficent's dialogue. However, Shadow Sora does appear inside a magic mirror later in the game where it's literally Sora's reflection, so the jury's still out on whether this construct of Sora's darkness is legally considered a Heartless. Regardless of its species, Shadow Sora certainly knows how to make an entrance. Just before the encounter, Sora fell into an obvious trapdoor and had to fight his way back to the surface. As he emerges from underground, the Heartless altar turns a bright and unnatural green. Suddenly, the camera zooms in on Shadow Sora and the fight immediately begins. There are no words exchanged and no menu tips, making the start of this fight a bit unnerving. What's more, the Heartless altar had previously been a safe room without any enemies, and there's even a save point around the corner. The sudden appearance of Sora's shadowy other is an invasion of the safe space, creating an unsettling atmosphere. As soon as the intro cutscene ends, the fight begins, but something is disturbingly wrong. Shadow Sora isn't attacking, it's just standing there, staring at you. But as soon as you make a motion, Shadow Sora will stir, copying your action. See, the encounter is something of a puzzle. Every move you make, Shadow Sora will mirror exactly. If you try to swing your Keyblade, Shadow Sora will return in kind, causing you to take damage. This is the first enemy that we can't just hit until it goes away, so it forces the player to think of a new strategy. The fact that our usual tactics are worthless here builds on the unfamiliar and uneasy atmosphere. Strangely, while Shadow Sora will replicate any magic attacks you try to cast, they will not deal any damage to Sora. I'm assuming this was either an oversight or a necessary omission due to programming constraints. As for Shadow Sora, neither our attacks nor spells do any damage. It doesn't even have an HP bar, which is why I hesitated to call it a boss encounter in the first place. At first glance, this looks like an unwinnable situation. The solution, if you haven't figured it out yet, is to jump onto the nearby altar. Since Shadow Sora is mirroring our every movement, it will jump into the pit trap on the opposite side of the arena, the same one that Sora fell in earlier. It's not a terribly difficult puzzle, but it's still satisfying to figure out in the moment. As Shadow Sora falls into the pit, a tendril of darkness lashes out and pierces Sora's heart. This sets up the main plot of the game, since Sora is now cursed and has to travel to different worlds to concoct an antidote. Plus, Shadow Sora was conjured by Maleficent, introducing us to the grand antagonist of the final stage. So despite having less than a minute of screen time, Shadow Sora is a pretty significant role in KHVcast. From a development standpoint, this encounter is also a marvel. The way that KHVcast is programmed, the attack command replaces the jump button during combat. To get around this constraint, the Shadow Sora encounter technically isn't combat at all. When Sora approaches his shadow self, the attack command appears as a temporary action, just like the command for opening a chest or lifting a crate. It just uses the same animation as Sora's attacks to give the illusion of combat. I'd also wager that the trigger for the attack isn't your proximity to Shadow Sora, but whether or not Sora is standing in the center of the room. The only time the two characters are close enough to attack each other is when both are in the center. With my knowledge of how VCast is programmed, I can say that it's pretty easy to have a stationary trigger on the ground, but far more difficult, if not impossible, to have a temporary command tied to a moving actor. So even for a relatively simple encounter like Shadow Sora, the developers had to work around the constraints of the platform to create the illusion of something more complex. And that wraps up the fight with Shadow Sora. The atmosphere surrounding the enemy's appearance and the unique puzzle elements make it an encounter worth remembering. As far as I can tell, there's no other puzzle boss encounter like this in the Kingdom Hearts series, so the Shadow Sora fight is scoring points for originality, even if its design isn't. I hope you enjoyed learning more about this forgotten relic of a game, and I'll see you back next month for part 2. Long live VCast.